Good evening. A Shavua Tov, a guten Woch. My name is Daniel Kestenbaum. On behalf of Rabbi Levi and Mrs. Sarah Shem Tov, I would formally like to welcome one and all to the annual dinner of Chabad of Riverdale, the Hakel gathering celebrating 25 years of togetherness. We will, please God, enjoy a tremendous evening, relish the company of friends and friends-to-be, honoring those among us who have done so much for our community, and later we shall be entertained by Hasidic singing sensation Rabbi Assi Spiegel, especially present here this evening from the holy city of Tzfat. I trust all enjoyed cocktails and buffet earlier, in relation to which there are three very important thank yous that must be expressed. To Ed Steinberg, event manager of Abigail Kirsch, to Jeffrey Becker of Foremost Catering, to Roz Eisenberg of Party Plus. Over these past many weeks of planning, all three of you went out of your way to ensure the success of this evening, and feeling the present dynamic of this room, beautifully designed as it is, you and your respective teams have done a tremendous job. Thank you. Gathered among us here at the Tappan Hill Mansion are a number of distinguished rabbinic leaders, each of whom, in their own distinct way, serve tirelessly for the benefit of Jewish communities throughout the great state of New York, which in turn impacts the world as a whole. We welcome this evening Rabbi Yehuda Balachov from Chabad of Kingsbridge, Stephen Exler, Rabbi of the Hebrew Institute of Riverdale, Reuven Fink, Rabbi of the Young Israel of New Rochelle, Rabbi Avi Korer from Chabad of Putnam County, Rabbi Mendel Levin, Mashpia of the new Chabad Mesivta High School of Westchester County, Jonathan Rosenblatt, Rabbi of the Riverdale Jewish Center, Rabbi Benji Silverman from Chabad of Dobbs Ferry, Rabbi Zalman Teitelbaum from Chabad of the Medical Community at Einstein, Rabbi Avi Weiss of the Hebrew Institute of Riverdale. On behalf of Chabad of Riverdale, our thanks to each of you, and certainly to your respective wives and families for your devotion in upholding and spreading Yiddishkeit and good works as a whole. Also to be welcomed this evening are the loyal, hard-working administrative and support staff of Chabad of Riverdale, and especially the directors and teachers of the Chabad Early Learning Center, who daily bring endless devotion and passion in educating our children. It is now my distinct honor to introduce Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Shem Tov, who, along with his wife, Mrs. Sarah Shem Tov, founded Chabad of Riverdale just under 25 years ago. Year-round, the Shem Tovs spearhead a myriad of community programming and outreach, nurturing and reinforcing Jewish identity in Riverdale and throughout the Bronx, which, of course, is what brings us all here tonight to actively support. Since my family and I moved to Riverdale a year and a half ago, I'm at times amazed by the tremendous energy that exudes from Rabbi Shem Tov. Absorbed by his overflowing levels of warmth and positivity, as an Englishman, I sometimes feel it to be almost an alarming experience. So, how does he and his wife maintain such selfless devotion to others? The answer is that Rabbi and Mrs. Shem Tov are extraordinary because they are, through and through, utterly authentic. Authenticity is what is so sorely needed in our world today, and Jewish authenticity is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe Shluchim are delivering worldwide by the thousands. If I may ask all present to rise and with an exceptionally warm round of applause, please greet the Rebbe Shliach to Riverdale and the Bronx, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Shem Tov.
Thank you, Daddy. That was wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Close your eyes for a few seconds and imagine thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of Jews are on their way to the Beis HaMikdash for Hakel. It's the year of Hakel, it's the year of gathering. And all of us, every single man, woman, and child is required. They have to be at the Beis HaMikdash to experience togetherness, to experience the king of the Jewish people getting up at the Beis HaMikdash, taking out the Torah, the same Torah that Moshe himself wrote. And he takes out the Torah and he reads parts of the Torah. And there are millions of Jews standing there when he reads the passages of the Torah. Men, women, and children, and even the children who have no knowledge and no idea what is really happening or what the king is saying, they too were there to have this experience. In a letter the Rebbe wrote many years ago in a year of Hakel, the Rebbe wrote that Hakel emphasizes Torah education for children and Torah education for children who are young at age and for those who are also young in knowledge of their Jewish education. They're children because they haven't gone on in years to know and acquire knowledge of Yiddishkeit, of Torah mitzvahs. And they too, even though the passport says they're older, in their Yiddish years, they're still younger. And the Rebbe said that even though Hakel was so many years ago when we had the Beis HaMikdash, and we will have it again when Mashiach comes very, very soon, but we can learn from Hakel that each and every one of us has to gather. We have to be together. And that's why it's 24 years of togetherness of Chabad, because we're gathering together. And we're gathering together ourselves personally, and we're gathering together with others. It is a time for us, a year for us, a year of Hakel, when each and every one of us can have and make this experience. When you come across a Jewish person, and we all do, who is not yet involved in Yiddishkeit, who doesn't yet appreciate what Torah and mitzvahs is, and it's you're working together, and you invite him to come to have lunch with you in a kosher restaurant, a kosher pizza shop, and you say a few words of Torah, that is Hakel. That is bringing a Jew together. And this is what Hakel is, and this is what the Rebbe wants us to do, and this is what this year is all about, gathering more Jews, welcoming more Jews to your home for Shabbos, letting them know, even though they've not experienced Shabbos, they're welcome to come. And just by being there, having the motzi, having the wine, the fish, and the soup, and the chicken, this itself is gathering and bringing them together. We had a phone call in the Chabad house a couple of years ago of a Jew who called and asked if we would be welcome, if he would be welcome to come into Chabad. And he has a story. And of course, we welcome every Jew. His story was, this is a couple years ago, let's say his name was Jack, and Jack unfortunately was brought in by some missionaries, and they got a hold of him and they were teaching him, and he got more and more involved, and then he realized that he's Jewish, and his mother's Jewish, and he's Jewish. And he asked, would he be welcomed into Chabad? Would he be welcomed into a synagogue? Would he be welcomed into the Jewish community? Of course, we welcomed him. And he came in. And he became friendly with many other people in the synagogue, in the Chabad house, in the community. And now this Jack feels the hakel, the togetherness, the gathering of coming together. He feels he is part now of the community, part of the Jewish people. So when we think of hakel, sometimes we think, what are we going to gather as you all close your eyes, thousands and millions of Jews? Every single Yid. That's what the Rebbe taught us, and that's what the Rebbe told us. Every single Yid can make a difference in another person's life. If you apply yourself, you can actually do it. So this is what we do in Chabad day in and day out. Every day throughout the year is a hakel day, is coming together, is welcoming new people, welcoming old people, making Yidden feel comfortable who they are and giving them the opportunity to grow. So I welcome all of you to watch your screens as we'll show you a video for a few minutes about hakel.
This year, we are celebrating a Hakel year, referring to the biblical commandment of assembling all Jewish men, women, and children to hear the reading of the Torah by the King of Israel once a year. We learn from Maimonides that even great scholars who are versed in the entire Torah are obligated to listen with great concentration. Chabad of Riverdale provides this type of Hakel environment for all people, all the time. The art of listening, and in so doing, engaging the other, is practiced day in, day out at Chabad of Riverdale. Different people from all walks of life step through Chabad's doors, and they instantaneously feel welcome, accepted, and loved. Rabbi Levi and Sarah Shamtov and their entire staff are an incredible team that live and breathe the mantra of listen and seek to understand as they open their hearts with no barriers to their fellow Jews. Listening to the Torah and to each other, we fulfill our national mission of Tikkun Olam, creating a more just and loving world. Our guests of honor, Jean and Dr. Phil Schneider, recall their first encounter with Rabbi Levi Shem Tov at Chabad of Riverdale. When Dr. Phil first met Rabbi Levi Shem Tov, he shared with him that he was not finding prayers meaningful. Rabbi Shem Tov recommended that he begin to create value by studying the meaning of one prayer at a time, beginning with the Shema. Listen. From that time on, Phil's mantra too became, listen and seek to understand. Our parents of the year, Bettina and Jack Roche, have themselves witnessed firsthand the love and unity that shines through the education at the Chabad of Riverdale Early Learning Center and Camp Gan Israel. Their son, Arshan, shows such enthusiasm and love for the teachers and students, as well as Judaism, that they feel fortunate for the open, warm, and inclusive environment at the preschool. We are deeply appreciative of our amazing community, without whom we would not be able to nurture our values of togetherness, mutual love, and respect. Together, we are stronger.
Sarah and I could not have accomplished and do these activities and these classes and programs without the most amazing, talented staff that we have in Chabad Riverdale. Devoted people who are dedicated and committed, and they put in effort day in and day out. We want to extend our sincere appreciation to those who help us In our preschool, we say thank you to our fantastic teachers under the able leadership of our phenomenal preschool director, Mora Tzippi. Thank you, Moras Asnat, Jessica, Elisheva, and Liz, Moras Eli, Lisa, and Suki, Moradasa, and Chayamushka. Thank you every single day. You're there with the kids and doing the most amazing job. Thank you very much. Thank you for the after-school and youth programming during the week, for Gan Israel Summer Day Camp and Junior Congregation on Shabbos. Thank you, Mushka Butman, Esty Feldman, Trolea Sirota, Dina Clapper, Serena Clapper, Rafaela Kestenbaum, Ben Khan, Rabbi Yankee Raskin, and our released on Wednesday, our student rabbis. To our administrative staff who works behind the scenes, it's impossible to know how much they do quietly and without anybody even knowing what they do. Without them, none of this would be possible. Thank you, Rabbi Shlomi, Sorel, Tamar, and Jess for all the work you do in helping Chabad help so many people. And a huge thank you to everyone who made tonight's dinner a success. Every one of you who volunteered your time to make phone calls, proofread the ads, encourage friends to come, and every single one of you coming and supporting Chabad. It's because of your participation and support that Chabad can reach out and warm the hearts of so many Jews. Thank you very much. Besides the obligation that each and every one of us has to learn Torah and to perform mitzvahs, we also have an obligation to influence others, and especially our children, and even the youngest children. As a matter of fact, from the moment the child begins to speak, it is a parent's obligation to teach them and educate them in Yiddishkeit. Chinuch, education, is a mitzvah in which one must be tremendously involved. Actually, it's the most important service and most important mitzvah in the Torah. When we say the Shema, we say, "Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one." And then we say, "Vishinantam livanecha," you will teach us to your children. V'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veisecha, when you sit in your house. And then v'shach b'chov kumecha, when you lie down, when you get up. Teaching our children, educating our children, is of extreme importance. There was once a group of Yidden who were running away from the Nazis, and it came Simchas Torah, and they realized they're in the forest with no Sefer Torah. How are they going to celebrate the Simchas Torah? There was one child there, and one of the Hasidim walked over to the child, picked up the child, and said to the rest of them, "This is our Torah." And they held up that child, and they were dancing with the child all night long, saying, "This child is our Torah." Jack and Martina come from a place, from a country, Iran, that preschools and Yiddishkeit is not flourishing as much as it is here in America. But they have made a conscious decision that they want to educate their Arshan in a way of Yiddishkeit, of Torah and mitzvahs. And I want to tell everybody that I have known Jack and Martina just a little bit over a year, and I have seen and know things, how their tzedakah and their chinuch and their education and the way they embrace Yiddishkeit is something that all of us in this room can learn from you. So it's really a pleasure and an honor for Sarah and I to ask Jack and Martina to come up here to receive the Parents of the Year Award.
I just want to take a few moments to. I have a co-speaker here with me, so let me just say that we both, and Martina, my wife, and I as well, we all want to thank you for taking the time to come here. The effort that Rabbi Shem Tov and Rebbetzin Shem Tov have put into this is beyond belief. It is inspiring, as always. Rabbi, you inspire us, you inspire the entire community. You are an example of everything that Chabad stands for, and I am proud to have met you and to get to know you better. And thank you all for coming. Thank you for all the efforts that you've made and the contributions, both known and unknown, that you've made to the growth and the development of Chabad. And before my co-speaker takes over, it's probably best that I sit down. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hakhel is about gathering the individuals who make up the greater community. Some of us tend to focus on the individual, one-on-one, while others seem to have a broader vision and seek the benefit of the greater community, the kahal. It's easy and natural to be drawn towards one or the other. Yet we're fortunate to be blessed in our community with two individuals who, with their entire beings, truly care about everyone, both as individuals and within the context of the kahal. Has it ever happened to you while you're walking on the street, somebody passes you and says, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And then they just continue on without waiting for an answer? Our guests of honor tonight, Dr. Phil and Jean Schneider, take the time to ask, but more importantly, they wait for an answer and they truly listen. To quote Phil in his own words, "I learned from the Rebbe how to listen quietly with eyes, heart, and soul, even in the absence of words." Jean and Phil, you've shown us time and again how much you truly care through your listening ear, your nurturing love, your depth of sensitivity, your intuition, and your desire to reach out and help. Listening, caring, and wanting to truly help and make a difference in another person's life is who you are. And we're just so grateful to Hashem that He placed you in our midst. You're one of the first couples we met over 20 years ago when we moved to Riverdale. And Jean, I remember one of those early conversations where you shared that giving a good Jewish education to your sons, Ori and Ilan, was a dream come true for you and one of your deepest aspirations. You were intent on setting down roots deeply embedded in Torah Judaism and giving your boys on a golden platter that which you spent years searching for. And together with Phil, you've planted the seeds. You've watered them with patience, nurtured them with love. And today, with Hashem's blessings, your branches extend to include Ori and Ilan, their wives Dina and Karen, and your precious grandchildren whom you adore and cherish. Dov Betzalel, Chaim Tzvi, Talia and Shoshana, Hananya Leib, Timima and Neria. May Hashem continue to bless you with tremendous nachas as your family continues to blossom and to grow, its roots becoming more and more entrenched in the Judaism that you so deeply connect with. It truly is with profound humility for who you are and appreciation for everything that you do that Levi and I invite both of you, Dr. Phil and Jean Schneider, to please come up and accept this honor which you so richly deserve.
Welcome to all our guests and to our fellow honorees, Martina and Jack Rose, being honored as Parents of the Year. We wish you a wonderful Mazel Tov and continued joy and nachas on your parenting journey with your son.
So the question is, what's the deal with, quote, being honored? The reality is, as all of you know, is that we really haven't done anything, and that the real thing is that all of us are here to honor the holy, holy work of Rabbi Levi Shem Tov and Sarah Shem Tov. That's for real. That's why we're here. Shortly after Rabbi Shem Tov came to Riverdale, he and I went for a walk together. I told him that I wasn't finding any meaning in prayer, and he suggested that I start with one prayer and kind of get into what it means, one word at a time. And he recommended I start with Shema. Listen. Listen, and you will hear that we are all connected to each other, and that we are all connected to one unified source of all life. And that was my start. Listening is a central theme in the Hakel celebration. How appropriate for this gathering. This biblical commandment requires that we gather everyone, men, women, children, and I read, even the stranger, even those of us who don't feel we fit for one reason or another. Gather everybody. Stand closely together. And to stand closely together with so many people who are so different from each other, that's a special task, and it requires that we learn to listen, to seek to understand, to have compassion, and to take care of what we hear that the other person needs. This might be the recipe for Tikkun Olam. Chabad of Riverdale provides this type of welcoming environment for all of us and anyone else who wants to walk in all of the time. So as we embrace this particular year of togetherness, of mutual love, of mutual respect, Jean and I feel incredibly grateful to Rabbi Levi Shem Tov and to Sarah for all they do to promote these values in our larger community. Thank you.